News.
We're still talking about education. As Uganda prepares to commemorate 60 years of independence, the education sector has been one of the most important sectors that has progressed. Ivan Tukundane compiles the journey of the sector since independence. Let's take a look.
First of all, the education system which we inherited at independence, was actually after producing somebody who would be able to serve the colonialists.
The curriculum was very basic at the time of starting. It was meant to train daughters of chiefs in preparation for being good mothers, good wives.
Forms of education and learning, we are moving in the right direction. I think that the question of independence is an economic question.
When the first missionary, Alexander Mackay, arrived in Uganda from England as a representative of the Church Mission Society to spread the gospel, he also taught reading and writing, as well as equipping locals with technical skills using modern technology. His efforts as a teacher and missionary planted seeds for the growth of the church and education. Church and education later became inseparable in education path of Uganda. Later, Mackay and Albert Cook were joined by Bishop Tucker to establish the Anglican Church Mission in Mukono, where a secondary school, Bishop Tucker, now Uganda Christian University, was established in 1913. The Church Mission Society settled at Namirembe, where an African church for blacks was created. They named it the Native Anglican Church that established hospitals and schools, among which are King's College Budo, Gayaza High School, Busoga College Mwiri, Bweranyanji Girls, Mengo Secondary School, St. Mary's Chisubi, St. Mary's Namagunga, and Sir Samuel Baker High School. For a long time, though Uganda had a few schools, by 1970, Uganda had 73 government-aided secondary schools with a few universities, a sign that shows the country was still struggling in this sector.
The education system we inherited at independence, one, it was inspected, it was evaluated. You could hear that teachers are being inspected, teachers are being evaluated.
Colonial education was basically meant to train clerks, people who would take minutes during meetings, and people who would translate the message of the colonial masters to the local population or to the Africans. And even where vocational and technical education was emphasized, this education actually didn't provide, did not let students think critically. It was basically to give them the bare minimum skills to enable them to do certain things like carpentry and so on and so forth.
Mrs. Chizito Robin Akatongore, the current head teacher of Gayaza High School, where she is also an old student, affirms that traditional schools have continued to uphold the principles on which they were founded, particularly Gayaza.
It started at the other side of where we see the Gayaza Junior School today. Then it started as one school, then eventually in 1939 the secondary section started. At that time it was basically arithmetic, Bible reading, agriculture, Bible knowledge. It was very basic curriculum then, but it was helping to groom the girl child to be a good mother and a good trainer in the home, because we know that the girl child is the mother of the nation. So that was the beginning of Gayaza High School. Then eventually the curriculum evolved and more subjects came on board. Then eventually the secondary section was started in 1939, and the school was started by Church Missionary Society, and then eventually it became government aided, but still under the Church of Uganda, because Church Missionary Society was working hand in hand with the Church of Uganda.
Credit is given for the increased access to education by majority of young population, though the quality question is still being asked.
You cannot be economically independent if you do not have an education that supports the direction of economic transformation. So, maybe to say three things. One, our secondary school is still excellent education. We just need to improve it and put it on track. Two, we need to invest more now in post-secondary. The young people, the 1 million people who enter the school system every year.
Professor Fabian Nabgomu also appreciates the educational reforms which have phased out the unnecessary content and replaced it with the relevant content learners and training teachers need. Academic experts and scholars give advice on what should be done to improve the education standards in order to strengthen the educational independence.
What we need to do is seriously to analyze what is wrong with our teacher. What inabilities does our teacher have, so that we may actually retrain, refocus the teacher and equip them with the necessary skills. Okay? Number two, we need to look at what is wrong with the teaching and learning process. How should the children be taught? It's not a matter of saying, let the teachers all become graduates. No, the question is analyzing what's wrong with the teacher, and then we look at what they should be equipped with during the training.
First and foremost, in this country, we don't have what we call a national philosophy. A national philosophy is that kind of a national thinking that guides the population towards achieving particular goals. And I would love to see an education system that instills critical thinking, an education system that instills creativity among its learners, an education system that instills innovativeness.
At 60 years of independence, Uganda has increased on the number of schools and learning centers, but the scholars advise on how the future of education should be.
We need to vocationalize everything in the schools. Let everything we do in the school be through learning by doing. And I can tell you, there is nothing that that one can say cannot be taught in a school that cannot be done through doing. And then finally, let us establish the 3 schools. Let's establish the school at home, the school in the community, and reestablish the formal school by what are we doing there.
We need certain values, we need to put up a national philosophy by looking at certain, values from the different ethnic groupings, and then we craft what we call something, a national thinking that will help us to propagate this country or to take this country from one level to another.
An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Education experts advise the government to implement the national education philosophy in order to earn the best interest. I'm Ivan Tukundane reporting for UBC.